Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudite Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhoti Nashtaki. Continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 11, Calculation of Time from the Atom, text number 32. Anta satasmin salila haste ananta sano hari yoga nidra nimilaksha stuyamano janalaya. The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of the Janaloka planets offer their glorious prayers unto the Lord with folded hands. So this is at the time of devastation, partial devastation. When the planets up to Janaloka are all submerged in water. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here the word Yoga Nidra is specifically mentioned, which indicates that the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his internal potency. So although he is sleeping on the seat of Ananda, but that's Yoga Nidra. It's not like when we sleep. And the inhabitants of Janaloka planets are offering prayers unto the Lord. So whenever the word yoga is used, it should be understood to refer to that which is transcendental. In the transcendental stage, all activities are always present and they're glorified by prayers of great sages like Bhrigu. So Yoga Nidra means he's in meditation. And then the question is, what does he meditate upon? He meditates upon the Ras Leela of Krishna, actually. Text 33. Evam vidher horatra kalgatyo lakshite apakshitam ivasyapi paramayur vayah shatam. Thus the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets. So everybody's life is 100 years. It's Brahmaji's 100 years are much more compared to our 100 years. And our 100 years are much more, say, for lower species, for like birds and animals. They also live for 100 years, but according to their calculation. And similarly, the people of lower planets, they also live for 100 years. But see, this is also one of the mercy of the Lord. Hellish planets, people live for 100 years. Means they get the punishment for 100 years. But according to Earth calculation, though that 100 years could be maybe 20 years from when we calculate from our perspective. So that's also mercy of the Lord. He doesn't want them to get punished for too long. He wants them to get punished, get it over with, come back, so they can start off their rectification process. Every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma. But although the life of Brahma is very long, it expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord, just to release himself from the clutches of illusory energy. So he is of course, Prabhupada said Brahmaji is afraid of death. Afraid of death in the terms of that he doesn't want to take birth again. So he engages himself in the devotion service of the Lord. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility, but even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away their valuable time without engaging in the devotion service to the Lord. They live merrily, unafraid of impending death. This is the madness of human society. The madman has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than a madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible in preparing himself for the next life, even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. So it doesn't matter how long and how short the life is. It's just how we utilize it. The quality of life depends more than the quantity or more than the number of years one is going to live. They say by doing yoga, by doing pranayama, we can increase our duration of life. Actually, other places, Prabhupada said that life duration is actually calculated by the number of breaths one takes. So if one can do yoga, and in yoga, the Kumbhak and Rechak, what they do is they merge the outgoing air in the incoming air. And by that, they reduce the number of breaths to be taken in a given time. Means then they increase their life. But the point is not how long one is going to live. The point is how one utilizes his time while living. One can live for 15 years, maybe 10 years, but if he is fully engaged in the service of the Lord, those are the best 10 years one can spend. So that has to be looked into. That has to be taken care of. Text 34. Yadartha dhamma yushastasya parardham abhidhiyate purva parartho apakranto iyapro adya pravartate. The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now correct. The duration of 100 years in the life of Brahma has already been discussed in so many places in this work, and it is described in Bhagavad Gita 8:17 also. 50 years of the life of Brahma are already over, and 50 years are yet to be completed. Then for Brahma also death is inevitable. So 50 years of Brahma's life are already over. Life is already over. Actually, somewhere it is mentioned it's the 53rd year of Brahmaji's life going on. And if we recall from the story of Lord Jagannath, when Maharaj Indradyumna sent Vidyapati, his minister, to find out about the location of Nilamadhav, and he found that location and he came back, and then Maharaj Indradyumna went, and then the whole place was covered with sandstone. So the king of Odisha came and he told Maharaj Indradyumna that this whole place there was a huge sandstorm and the whole place is covered. So Maharaj Indradyumna was gonna commit suicide by fasting. And then the Lord appeared in his dream that Nilamadhav was for the first 50 years of Brahma, and Jagannath as we see, as we know of, is going to be for next 50 years. So Neelamadhav is already gone, but now you prepare for the appearance of Lord Jagannath. So from that story also it is clear that since now Lord Jagannath is there, means the first 50 years of Brahmaji are already over. So somewhere it is written it's the 53rd year to be exact. Text 35. पूर्वस्यादो परार्धस्य ब्राह्मो नाम महानभूत कल्पो यत्रा भवद ब्रह्मा शब्द ब्रह्मेति यम विदुः. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, where Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth. According to Padma Puran, Prabhas Khanda, in 30 days of Brahma, many kalpas take place, such as the Varaha Kalpa and Pitri Kalpa. 30 days make 1 month of Brahma, beginning from the full moon to the disappearance of the moon. 12 such months complete 1 year and 50 years complete 1 prarabdha, or 1/2 the duration of life of Brahma. The Shweta Varaha appearance of the Lord is the first birthday of Brahma. The birth date of Brahma is in the month of March, according to Hindu astronomical calculation. This statement is reproduced from the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Brahmaji's birthday, appearance day is in the month of March somewhere. It's amazing how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and other acharyas have even digged that up and calculated that. Text 36. But too bad we don't celebrate Brahmaji's appearance day. We do celebrate Shivratri for Lord Shiva and from Lord Vishnu's different incarnations, appearance days, but not Brahmaji's. Text 36. Tasya chante kalpa bhuta yam padmam avichakshate yadharer navi saras asi lok sarorvam. The millennium which followed the first Brahma's millennium is known as Padma Kalpa because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of the water of the personality of Godhead, Hari. The millennium following the Brahma Kalpa is known as Padma Kalpa, whereas because the universal lotus grows in that millennium. The Padma Kalpa is also called the Pitri Kalpa in certain Puranas. Ayam tu kathita kalpa dvitiyasyapi bharata bhara iti vikhyatu yatra si chukro harihi. O descendant of Bharat, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium because the personality of God had appeared in that millennium as a hog incarnation or the Shukar Rupa, Varaha Dev Bhagwan. The different millenniums known as Brahma, Padma and Varaha Kalpa appears a little puzzling for the layman. There are some scholars who think these kalpas to be one and the same. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Brahma Kalpa in the beginning of the first half appears to be the Padma Kalpa. We can, however, simply abide by the text and understand that the present millennium is in the second half of the duration of life of Brahma. So here again, see Brahma Kalpa, Padma Kalpa, Varaha Kalpa. Some say they are the same, some say they are different. Only Brahmaji knows or Krishna knows. Text 38. Kaloyam dvi parardhakhyo nimeshupcharyate avyakritasyanantasya henader jagadatmanaha. The duration of the 2 parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 nimesh, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. So now look at the calculation of time. So Brahmaji's whole life, 100 years, which according to us is 311 trillion 40 billion years, is equal to what? One nimesh, less than a second. Nimesh means the time taken for a blink of eye. So one nimesh for the Supreme Personality of God. The great sage Maitreya has given a considerable description of the time of different dimensions, beginning from the atom up to the duration of the life of Brahma. Now he attempts to give some idea of the time of the unlimited personality of Godhead. He just gives a hint of his unlimited time by the standard of the life of Brahma. The entire duration of the life of Brahma is calculated to be less than a second of the Lord's time. And it is explained in Brahma Samhita also. I worship Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, whose plenary portion is Mahavishnu. All the heads of the innumerable universes, the Brahmas, live only by taking shelter of the time occupied by one of his breaths. So for Lord Vishnu or for Mahavishnu, this 100 years of Brahmaji is one breath. Because when he exhales, all the universes appear. When he inhales, all the universes disappear. But this is just one image, one blink of an eye for the Lord in Golok Vrindavan. The impersonalists do not believe in the form of the Lord, and thus they would hardly believe in the Lord's sleeping. Their idea is obtained by a poor fund of knowledge. They calculate everything in terms of man's capacity. They think that the existence of the Supreme is just the opposite of active human existence. Because a human being has senses, the Supreme must be without sense perception. Because the human being has a form, the Supreme must be formless. And because the human being sleeps, the Supreme must not sleep. So their idea is, so whatever the Supreme Lord does is so inconceivable for us because we cannot do it, that means he should not be able to do it. It's just like here, it's mentioned, Brahma's life is less than 1 second for the Supreme Lord. Because we cannot conceive of something like that. We think, oh, because I cannot do it, or I cannot conceive of it, means the Supreme Lord must be formless. And then everything is possible. Because there's no person who's doing all this. Srimad Bhagavatam, however, does not agree with such impersonalists. It is clearly stated herein that the Supreme Lord rests in Yog Nidra, as previously discussed. And because he sleeps, naturally he must breathe, and the Brahma Samhita confirms that. Within his breathing period, innumerable Brahmas take birth and die. There is complete agreement between Srimad Bhagavatam and the Brahma Samhita. Eternal time is never lost along with the life of Brahma. It continues, but it has no ability to control the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Lord is a controller of time. In the spiritual world, there is undoubtedly time, but it has no control over activities. Time is unlimited, and the spiritual world is also unlimited, since everything there exists on the absolute plane. So to understand the activities of the Lord is very, very difficult, and especially for Mayavadis, because they try to calculate everything according to their capacity. It's just like many times Mayavadis are what? Even Muslims are Mayavadis because they don't believe in the personal form of the Lord. So once Radha Govind Maharaj was telling in one of his lectures that one Muslim guy approached him, and then there was some discussion, and Maharaj and he Muslim guy did not believe in the form of the Lord. So Maharaj asked him, when you do your ajan, when you do your namaz, do you think the Supreme, Allah listens? He said, yeah, of course. So then he must be having a form. That's how he listens. He hears your prayers. Does he come to protect you? Yes, he does. So then he must be having a form. That's why he can come and protect you. But people have no conception of this. The Supreme Lord having a form. Just because we cannot see that, or just because we cannot do what he does, doesn't mean he cannot have a form. He has a better form than ours. That's all. Text 39. Kaloyam Brahmanvadir Dviparardhanta Ishvara Aveshitum Prabhurbhumna Ishvarodhamaninam. Eternal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of the atom up to the super divisions of the duration of Brahma's life. But nevertheless, it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to Satyaloka, or the higher planets of the universe. Text 40. Vikare sahito yukta visheshadi bhiravritah andakosho bahirayam pancha shat koti vistritah. This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles. So 4 billion miles is the diameter of this universe. As a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 6 further categories within and without, as follows. As explained before, the entire material world is a display of 16 diversities and 8 material elements. The analytical study of the material world are the subject matter of Sankhya philosophy. The Sankhya philosophy will be explained later in third canto only by Lord Kapil Dev to Mother Devhuti. The first 16 diversities are the 11 senses and 5 sense objects, and the 8 elements of the gross and subtle matter, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and ego. All these combined together are distributed throughout the entire universe, which extends diametrically to 4 billion miles. Besides this universe of our experience, there are innumerable other universes. Some of them are bigger than the present one, and all of them are clustered together under similar material elements as described below. So this is all the universes are made up of. Text 41. Dashottar adhikaryatra pravishta parmanuvat lakshate antargatah chanye kotisho hi andrashaya. The layers or elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. So every layer of the shell of the universe is 10 times the thickness of the previous layer. So if the middle 4 billion miles we consider as earth element. So next element is fire. So the layer of fire is 40 billion miles. And then earth, water, then fire, then air, then ether, then mind, then intelligence, and false ego. So this is how the shell of the universe is formed. The coverings of the universe are also constituted of the elements of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and each is 10 times thicker than the one before. The first covering of the universe is earth, and it is 10 times thicker than the universe itself. If the universe is 4 billion miles in size, and the size of earthly covering of the universe is 4 billion times 10. So that's just the shell, that's just the covering. Covering of water is 10 times greater than the earthly covering. The covering of fire is 10 times greater than the waterly covering. Covering of air is 10 times greater than that of fire. The covering of ether is 10 times greater still than that of air, and so on. The universe within the coverings of matter appears to be like an atom in comparison to the coverings. And the number of universes is unknown even to those who can estimate the coverings of the universes. How complicated this whole creation is. Text 42. Actually, I was running because today this is the last text of this chapter. Tadahoraksharam Brahma Sarvakarana Karanam Vishnurdham Param Sakshat Purushyasya Mahatmanaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it's also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestations. Lord Mahavishnu, who is resting in Yog Nidra, is on the causal ocean and creating innumerable universes by his breathing process, only temporarily appear in the Mat Tattva for the temporary manifestation of the material worlds. He is a plenary portion of Lord Shri Krishna, and thus, although he is non-different from Lord Krishna, his formal appearance in the material world as an incarnation is temporary. Original form of the personality of God is actually the Swarupa, or real form, and he eternally resides in Vaikuntha world. The word Mahatmana is used to indicate Mahavishnu, and his real manifestation is Lord Krishna, who's called Parama as confirmed in Brahma Samhita. The Supreme Lord is Krishna, the original personality of Godhead known as Govinda. His form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and he is the original cause of all causes. So this is the calculation of time and the space of the universe. So 4 billion miles, that's the diameter of the universe. And then the coverings. Every covering is 10 times the previous covering. That is how the shell is formed. So from this shell, a soul has to go from one universe, from material universe to the spiritual world when he gets qualified. So sitting on spacecraft, we cannot get out of here. Only by Lord's mercy, when he sends his Vishnu Dutas and his chariot to take us, then we can go out of here. But this is how the whole engineering is done, whole design, creation is there. And even within the creation, we'll go through how different species are made and how different planets are inhabited by different species. It's so complicated, and it cannot just come by some big bang and all these things came into life. It cannot happen. Only by mercy of the Lord. And he gives the knowledge to Brahmaji. He gives the knowledge and the strength to Brahmaji to do the creation. And that's how Brahmaji does the creation. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mata.
It seems so simple, Prabhuji, when we are day-to-day life. We think that this is the only, life and death. That's all.
Yeah. Yep.
Small thing, we get so, angry and pissed off and just.
And nothing is in our control. That's even wonderful thing. Nothing is in our control, and we think we control everything. Amazing.
Seriously
Right.
amazing.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandapanam.
Prabhuji, I have a question. In fact, we learned that every creature or every life has a lifetime of 100 years for the planet. So, but in fact, in our Earth, in the present day, in fact, people hardly live for maybe in the first 50, 60 years. Is it because the influence of Kali that the life is not even 100 years, or is it some other karma, Prabhuji?
Well, like Prabhupada explained in earlier purports, I think in first or second canto, the life is decreasing in Kali Yuga because of our irregular eating habits and faulty lifestyle. But with the progress of Kali Yuga, yes, the life had also go down because towards the end of Kali Yuga, it will be only about 20 years.
Scary, Prabhuji, very scary. And Prabhuji, Lord Jagannath that we talked of is the Lord Jagannath that we worship, no? Same Jagannath, Lord Jagannath.
Yeah, that's only Jagannath.
So Prabhuji, जो पूरी और temple है, or maybe in fact before this, so if it is 53rd year of Brahma Ji, so 365 into 3. So that many millenniums have already passed since
65? Where is 65 came from?
365 days in a year into 3, so 51, 52, 53 years. So Lord Jagannath Ji's temple, is that, I mean, from that period, or temple was constructed later on, but Jagannath Ji was there?
Well, the present temple, I was reading somewhere, it's I don't know how many thousands of years old, but maybe the temple was there and it got destroyed and the new temple was built. So obviously this temple is not that old.
Must be on the same site somewhere. Thank you,
But
Prabhuji.
even for this temple, I think in Jagannath Puri only, Pandas told me that when Britishers were there, they tried to dig to find out the bottom of the boundary wall of Lord Jagannath's temple. They started digging, but they couldn't find where is the bottom, where's the foundation of that. So actually, this temple is, as I said, the whole Jagannath Puri is very mystical, especially the temple. Nobody knows the ins and outs of this temple, the whole thing. Nobody knows.
Very mystical. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you rightly said, because when I visited Lord Jagannath temple in Puri, when we entered in the Garbhagriha, I had goosebumps. Really, I don't.
Yep.
It felt like I'm in some mystical place, something different, and so big idols. I mean, just watching somebody if just watches, they have definitely have goosebumps on it.
Yeah. And just to give another example, because this was also told to me by one of the pandas there. Now, where Lord Jagannath, you talked about the Garbhagriha. So the Garbhagriha, and if you come out and you see the dome,
audio just connect.
We see the Garbhagriha and then we come out and see the dome. So the dome is pretty big and the Garbhagriha goes maybe 20, 30 feet high. So what's between the Garbhagriha height, ceiling, and the dome? What's in there? Nobody knows.
Yes.
Nobody can go in there. So we don't know everything about Lord Jagannath and his place. It's very mystical, very different.
Plus the prasadam I have
Oh
already.
well, there's no nothing can be said about the prasadam.
सुबह
So
सुबह
delicious.
ये प्रभु जी याद मत दिलाओ महाप्रसादम
अल्टीमेट है प्रभु जी, बहुत ही डिलीशियस.
नो कंपैरिजन
Yeah. Chalo, as Prabhu said, yaad mat dilao. So we'll stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
हरे
Prabhupada.
कृष्ण, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
थैंक यू